Hey everyone, how's it going, and welcome back to ROBOTBOY. And in this video we're going to be taking a look at SpidermanPS4, this time discussing some missed opportunities I felt the game had going. Of course, we have the upcoming 3 DLC packs to look forward to that will indeed add more content and gameplay concepts, but for now I think it is worth focusing on the core of the main game and some nitpicks that could have been resolved for that experience. Yes, you heard me, nitpicks. Disclaimer, I love the game. It's by far one of the most thrilling, charismatic, beautiful games on PS4, with probably the most satisfying gameplay I've experienced in any open world action game. It is very good, and that's the point. There are 1,000 videos on YouTube right now praising Spider-Man to heaven and beyond, a camp of which I am part of, but felt I should also share my thoughts on some points that definitely could have been improved in the base game. Some of these could still actually be changed and updated later down the line. Others are a bit too integral to the overall structure to change now, but all of these points I think are worth mentioning. So yeah, this is going to be a ways to improve the game video. This is not a praising this game video. So if you feel like you're going to get triggered by this, then I don't know, but just stay tuned. I do want to know what you think about my points in the comments below, so stay around for the video to hear what I'm saying. Anyway, let's get into it. These first points are things that didn't affect the actual core of the game and could actually still be fixed later down the line to improve the game overall. So firstly, there is no rain, time of day / weather option once you finish the game. This is a quick and fairly straightforward one. Why, after completing the game, are you not given the option to change the weather to rain when it's the daytime? This weather pattern features frequently throughout the game and was my favorite weather by far to have when playing. Insomniac, I do hope you can add this option in very soon. There's not really much more to say on that. I don't know why it's not there, so I do hope it does make an appearance soon. Right, next point is car chases. Now this is a bit of a long one, but hear me out. This is probably an issue I had with most in terms of general free roaming. So when chasing any vehicle, you are immediately spotted. Even when swinging high up in the sky, round corners, at nighttime, you can be seen and you can be shot with pinpoint precision. It's also a pain when you're being shot at the low point of a swing and you have to press circle to dodge, and it propels you awkwardly either smack bang into the floor or into an oncoming building. I feel like it shatters the pacing and illusion of a really epic car chase action sequence. There's also a weird timer delay before you can actually jump on the cars from when the sequence starts. So if you manage to get super close to the car straight away into a chase, it doesn't give you the option to jump on, I believe. You kind of have to swing awkwardly a bit further away behind, being shot at for a few seconds before you can jump on. I get it, it's an attempt to create a spectacle, but it actually just impedes your ability to stop the crime and forces you away from the crime initially and just looks strange. And sorry, I know I'm going on about this one point, but when you're on the cars too, I'm going to be honest, I don't actually know how that works. I always just magically succeed at putting the bad guys out by luck. Honestly, I don't actually know what I'm supposed to be doing. I just press left and right and mash square and it always works. As far as I know, you just have to be on the correct side of the car and press square when they pop out, and that's it. There's no real skill or incentive to dodge or anything else. It's a bit too for my liking. Finally, bloody hell, does anyone else find that stopping the car when Spider-Man is holding it from the front is really hard to do? You have to smash square into oblivion for it to work, whereas every other animation from stopping a vehicle seems to give you a bit extra time compared to that one. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I'd like to know if anyone else has picked up on that. Anyway, as you can tell, I do have a few problems with the car chases, but these are all factors that could hopefully be tweaked pretty easily just by changing a few values here and there. My third point in the sort of quick changes section are headlights in the distance. Now this is a graphical change for something that I was very surprised wasn't in the game, and that is the illusion of headlights in the distance. When looking down the road, you can only see the actual modeled cars that are rendered in, and anything beyond that point is desolate. The streets are empty, there are no people, there are no cars, and thanks to the awesome 4K super high res quality of the game, you can make out that the roads are empty further away. It looks crystal clear and you can see that they are barren. It's a shame because having lived in New York City myself personally, the feeling of a city that is jam-packed busy at every corner is kind of lost here. The atmosphere is lost when looking off into the distance. A solution found in other games such as GTA 5, The Crew 2, for example, is to implement the bokeh out of focus car lights at the point where models stop rendering. Now this creates the illusion that cars are in the distance without having to render any models or geometry at all. I'm sure there was a technical limitation here that Insomniac had to compromise with, but if it is at all possible to add this in the future, that would go a long way, I think, in selling the feeling of New York City being alive and kicking no matter where you look. A couple more points now that could be addressed in future DLC. I wanted to see more MJ. By the time you complete the last mission as MJ, she's only just got access to all those available tools to use. It would have been fun to have more MJ missions open up after completion that allowed us to really test those skills, combat and stealth mechanics that she gained by that last mission. Of course, this was likely a time restraint and we will hopefully see more MJ in the future DLC, so there's always the potential for this to happen. And lastly, a couple of core changes now that are pretty irreversible, but are things I thought could have been handled better in the story. So Martin Lee's reveal. If you've played the game and also saw that E3 2017 demo, you will have noticed that Martin Lee's reveal to Spider-Man as being Mr. Negative was drastically changed. The mission from E3 features earlier on in the game to when Spider-Man finds out Lee is Mr. Negative, and instead replaces his character in the actual mission with just some bog standard demon dude. This is fine, but the actual reveal later on was very strange and rushed in my opinion. The mission where City Hall is bombed is incredible. It's really moving and very powerful. However, there is such a jump between that and Act 2. I think Peter sees Mr. Negative at City Hall in there's 1 second of frame where he sort of glances out the corner of his eye and sees him and realizes that it is Mr. Lee right before he negative bombs the place to hell and Peter's knocked out. But we are immediately switched over to Miles whilst Peter remains unconscious for the entire mission. We don't rejoin Peter then until a few weeks later. I think it's a few weeks later. The fact I can't remember is just an example of how stark the timings are. And Peter's now just suddenly, we rejoin him and he's just suddenly enraged and determined to hunt down Lee. There is just such a gap here that we don't see that makes the reveal seem odd. What happened to Peter after the explosion? How long has he been up and about since the explosion? Has he been looking for Lee for days, hours, the whole week? Why were we not shown his immediate reaction upon waking up that he knows it is now Mr. Lee? We get this scene on a rooftop where Spider-Man just calls MJ and says, "Oh yeah, you know the bombing last week? Yeah, that was Mr. Lee. Sorry I didn't mention that until this point." It's so jarring and cutthroat and it just didn't match with the rest of the pacing of the story that up until that point had been pitch perfect. Maybe there was a scene or something else that got cut out. Either way, I thought that was an odd part of the story and the pacing. And moving on to our final point now, which is the Sinister Six. Okay, so just when you thought I was done with the pacing issues, here we go again. So Act 3 gives us the Sinister Six loose on the city. When it was revealed that the Sinister Six were in the game back in June, I was so hyped. I'm sure everyone was. Yes, I know I'm disappointed, and the point I'm going to make is somewhat to do with the fact that I'm disappointed because it didn't go the way I thought it would, which I know you're going to be like, "Oh, well, that's your fault." Okay, yeah, but this is a video on missed opportunities, and I feel like the point I'm going to raise is a missed opportunity. That's the point I'm making. It's something I felt they could have done that would have been better than what they did. So I was certain that when the Sinister Six were released at that point in the game would then turn into like a boss fight district style system. Imagine the Ghost Recon Wildlands cartel boss system or the most wanted villain system in the Arkham Knight game. So here we go. This is my idea. The Sinister Six are out in the city. They're dominating different districts. So we've got 5 of them, okay? If we exclude Doc Ock because he's going to be the bad guy, the main end mission is going to be the same. But they're split into 5 different areas whereby Spidey has to go around and take them down one at a time in any order that he likes. Each area they dominate has a few missions for each villain, which ends up in a boss fight and you take them down one by one. Upon defeating all 5, the last boss battle and final missions with Doc Ock will unlock and play out as they did in the final game. I feel like the Sinister Six were just not utilized to their full potential and definitely felt kind of rushed and sort of shoehorned in at the end there. Despite being very well fleshed out for what they had, there just was not enough time for them in the game. The battles weren't too innovative. Fighting 2 together in a boss fight meant you defeated Rhino, Scorpion, Vulture, and Electro in essentially 2 missions. The massive build up to these villains was kind of short-lived in the final game, and I would have loved to have seen more of them. That's my point. They could have done so much more with the Sinister Six. I think they should have either been introduced earlier or have been allowed more time to exist in the world for longer before wrapping up the main story. So that's it, everyone. Again, these are just my thoughts on some missed opportunities I felt Spider-Man PS4 had, things that could have been addressed, fixed, or could potentially be added in the future, or even just to bear in mind for the sequel, which we all know is 100% in development right now. But please do leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. Did you think about these points when you were playing the game? Have I brought them to your attention and now you think, yeah, actually I didn't really think about that before, but that's true. Do you have any other missed opportunities you felt the game had? Or do you just completely disagree and think the game is flawless? Either way, let me know. As always, please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and do subscribe to join me on this journey if you haven't done so already. And finally, if you're feeling super generous, please do head over to my Patreon to support this channel, and the link to that is in the description below. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video.